Hi, and welcome to Hollywood Impact. My name is Christian McCright, and I am the host of this show. This is one of our three main shows that we're going to have on the Entertainment Forever Network. Big project I've been working on for quite a while. And I have a great cast and crew all geared up, ready for all their shows, and they'll tell you more about those later. But I'm here specifically for this show, which deals with movies and TV primarily. And today, for our debut, we have a very exciting show for you because we're going to be talking things like the new Star Wars Acolyte trailer that just released a few days ago, the new Roadhouse movie with Jake Gyllenhaal that just came out a few days ago as well on Amazon. So I'm super excited for you guys to see it, and I hope you really enjoy. I hope you have fun, and I hope you guys just sit back and enjoy the show. So, the first trailer for Star Wars Acolyte has finally dropped a few days ago, and I have not seen it yet. I purposely put it off just for this moment, and I'm so excited because I'm big on Star Wars. So, let's go ahead and get right into it.
Close your eyes. Your eyes can deceive you. We must not trust them. Tell me what comes into your mind.
Life. Balance. I see fire.
Someone is killing Jedi. It doesn't make sense.
What happened?
I sensed darkness.
This isn't about good or bad. This is about power and who is allowed to use it.
What is that?
Wow. So that was super cool. I was not expecting that, I guess. I knew it'd take place during a different time, but I guess, I didn't really know exactly what to expect when I first heard of it. The concept itself is really cool. So it seemed like, when you have, you finally get to like reintroduce like the Jedi Council and kind of before that whole thing fell apart. I think that's super interesting. And I think that we need to have more Star Wars material that covers those things. We are starting to have too much stuff that kind of overinflates the time after the Republic or the time after the Empire, especially after the absolute debauchery of the previous three Skywalker films. I actually like one of them, but I think that this seems to use like a lot of practical effects, which I had heard that they're going to be using more practical effects in this case for this. And I'm actually glad because I think that that's part of what really gave a strong impact for The Mandalorian whenever it used a lot of more practical effects right off the bat. I think that's always a good sign. I do think that I'm a little nervous. I'm glad they have the main actor for the protagonist in Squid Game. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I'm a little nervous because I saw kind of some comments about how the director said, like, if you don't like it, whatever. If you like it, great. So I'm not really sure how that's going to pan out. And I did see that actually this video has so many dislikes. I am curious as to what people actually dislike about it. But for the most part, I think it could be really interesting. And I think it could really set us towards a path of more Star Wars content in an age that we haven't really explored, especially for those of us who don't read comics or don't dabble in the books and all the lore. Like, I love Star Wars, but I'm not that hardcore of a fan. So I am very interested to see where this goes. So I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll just go ahead and move on to the next segment. Welcome to Hollywood Impact. It's me, Christian McCrite, and joined by my co-host, Eric Grubbs.
Hello, Christian.
Eric, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good. So this is our first real debut episode, and today we're talking about the new Roadhouse movie and comparing it to the old one. So let's get right into it. What are your thoughts on the original movie?
The original?
Yeah.
The original is just, I love it so much. As a kid, I grew up on this type of movie. My parents were terrible people. They let us watch Roadhouse, Rambos, Commandos. My brother and I grew up on these kind of 80s action movies. Like, we were watching Die Hard as a Christmas movie before people started talking about watching Die Hard as a Christmas movie.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So I've been looking
Dang.
forward to this remake for a long time now.
When was the first time that you watched this movie? Like, you have like a specific memory?
I was probably 12, 13 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Because we used to rent, my buddy and I, we would ride bikes during the day in the summer.
Right.
We'd rent movies. We'd go back and watch them.
Okay.
Like, in a bedroom away from parents and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were always getting action movies, whether it was Van Damme or Schwarzenegger or Stallone or whatever, and Roadhouse was one of them. And it was like, oh my goodness, this is something else.
Did your parents have any idea of what was...
No.
Like, no, nothing. Just, oh my gosh.
No, not at all. They were terrible
Oh
parents.
my gosh. This
I'm joking, of course.
this movie is kind of explicit though.
Oh yeah, it's wild.
I mean, like, I knew that you had told me beforehand, like, hey, like you need to be careful watching this movie, and I didn't really. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think much of it at first because I'm like, oh, like a lot of '80s movies have like some of these weird vibes in them. But then I got about 20 minutes into this thing, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I rewatched it here recently, and it'd been a long time since I'd seen it, and I'm like, men in bars are really terrible to women.
Horrible.
Like, it's pretty problematic, to be honest with you.
And the weird part is, like, it's played off like as a joke.
Yeah.
But like nowadays, like, you watch
You
that
couldn't
and you're
do that
like,
today.
that's not very funny.
Yeah.
like of course, like, part of it is humorous in the fact that, like, it's so outlandish.
Yeah.
And you're like, I cannot believe this is actually on screen right now. But compared to the stuff that we have nowadays, like Game of Thrones and things like that, it really isn't.
Right.
It's not super unique, I guess.
But yeah, the 80s were wild, man, for action movies, and it capped off the decade. So
I'm gonna be honest. When I watched the original, I don't think I was super into it.
really,
Yeah, I don't think so. And I don't know if it's because, like, I watched them both back to back. Watched the old and the new back to back. And I don't know if it's like because, like, I'm conditioned to like things that, like, have better graphics, that are styled a little differently. But there were times where I was kind of I didn't understand exactly where the story was going because I had
I don't think they did either.
information. So it's like, I don't think that. Yeah, but I didn't really understand what was going on until, like, much later. And there's a lot of, like, mystery behind, like, Dalton's character, and so I kind of wish in the original movie I would have gotten a lot more of, like, his backstory because like you kind of spend the whole time with, like, the mysterious, like, bounty hunter of sorts, because he kind of is like a bounty hunter, right?
Yeah.
And but there's his friend Sam Elliott is
Wade
in this
Garrett,
movie.
yeah.
Okay, for some reason, and this is just me, I don't mean this in, like, a disrespectful way, but, like, has he always been, like, 60 years old? Like, is that
You know what's
he looks
funny?
better in this movie?
You know what's funny? In that movie, he is the same age that I am right now. Him and the guy,
No
the
way.
owner of the Double Deuce too.
Yeah.
He's my age in that movie.
Oh my gosh,
Dude, it was a different time.
no kidding.
And with those movies, you just have to go into them and just for the fun of it, and you can't get too into the weeds about plot because it doesn't matter. Because
Yeah.
it's just about watching them fight and that
Right.
kind of stuff. But I understand completely about what you're saying.
So whenever I saw Sam Elliott on screen for the first time, he was like, I was like, this has got to there's no way this was like 40 years ago.
Yeah, because he looks like the same guy.
He looks the same guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen him on Parks and Rec. I've seen him on
He's
other
so
things.
cool, though.
He is cool.
So
He's
cool.
like he gives off like Western like country hero vibes all the time. I think like he just plays that character. I think he just is that person. So
Yeah, he's one of the few white guys that can actually pull off calling people mijo.
yeah,
And that
Yeah.
sound like ironic about it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he can pull that off.
How familiar are you with like the Gaither vocal band at all? Like all like gospel church singing group.
No.
For the rest of you, look up Guy Penrod, and I'll show you later, or I'll put it up on the screen. He literally looks like this guy named Guy Penrod because when I saw Sam Elliott, I'm used to him like having a bit shorter hair, but he has like the long, flowy hair, and I'm like, this can't be the same person. Like his hair says he's 30, but his face says that he's still 60.
Right.
So poor guy, poor guy didn't age super well. But no, the old movie, I found myself just kind of going in and out of it. And I watched that one first, so I was more prepared, more mentally prepared to watch a movie. And to have myself kind of drift in and out of it, I think goes to show, I don't think it was meant for me.
Well, it got a little dark at the end too in the original Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And it was unnecessarily these bad guys were, they took a monster truck to a car dealer. Okay, why?
Yeah.
I don't know that was necessary.
While that was happening, I was like, this is going to look so cool in the new one. Yeah, it doesn't show up.
Yeah,
it just doesn't happen.
But then burning the guy's place, his the auto parts place down.
Yeah.
It's just they're unnecessarily really bad for small town Jasper, Missouri.
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I had to. When I was about to watch this movie, I was like, this takes place in Missouri. I was like, what the heck? That's our place. Yeah. And I was like, I had no idea that we had Italian mobsters in Missouri, because the villain of the original Roadhouse, he's actually he's a much better villain, I think, than the new one, because even though, the movie as a whole I wasn't super into, the villain is definitely, he gives off more villainy vibes.
Yeah.
I want this because of this, and I'm willing to do A, B, and C bad things to do it. And that definitely shows in his minions and his henchmen and the way he treats them. It's so funny.
Yeah. I did like the villain though in the new one.
You did?
I really did he was kind of over the top in a good kind of way.
It's more childish.
Yeah, he's on the boat. He's got the Versace robe thing, and he insists on getting a shave.
Yeah, so this
And
poor guy.
and he's just yelling at everybody. And he's
the boat's rocking like this, and this poor guy is trying to shave up his neck, and every now and then, he nicks him or whatever, and the guy's like, "Oh my gosh, just keep your hands straight." And this kid's like, "I'm gonna die."
And he goes up and talks to the kid. He's like, "Captain, can I talk to you for a second?" And then he just hits him.
He just punches him. Yeah. So same vibes, but just completely reskinned.
Yeah.
But I mean, on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd give the original a 6.5.
6.5.
Yeah, I'd give it a 6.5. Now, in my opinion, a 7 is a solid, good movie. Mm-hmm. And I can't quite give it that because I think I can't quite recall a lot of information from it. And I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't on anything. I think in between parts, I kind of got lost in translation. And I may need to watch it again to get a better grip on it. But I just didn't feel like it was quite there for me.
I think that's fair, but I'm giving it an 8.
Oh my gosh.
I'm giving it an 8.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
And a lot of it is, I think it's unintentionally so good, but for me, I think it's the nostalgia of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just remember back to those times and watching those movies, and I think that's why I do it higher, but it's so outrageous that I absolutely love it.
Sure. Now, what are your thoughts on the new movie as a whole?
The new one as a whole, I thought it was really good. I
thought it was
really
good.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal, I thought was great.
I did like him. He felt more charismatic.
Yeah.
He's a different kind of Dalton, because I felt like the original, he was this kind of drifter, bounty hunter, kind of quiet, more reserved, but had good values.
Yeah.
But of course, he was trying to compensate for for his past stuff. But this one felt a whole lot different. He kind of felt like a guy you could just walk up and have a conversation with.
Yeah.
But then he felt, actually, in my opinion, I think he felt a little scarier than the original Roadhouse guy, because near the end, whenever he's like, this is what happens to people who push me too far.
When that rage
like Jake,
comes out.
Yeah, Jake really sells it.
Yeah.
And Conor McGregor in this movie is a different animal.
There's over the top like Ben Brandt was, and then there's over the top Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah,
it's not the same.
It's a little cringy at times.
Yeah,
just a little bit. It's a little awkward. Of course, I think it's like his first real
I think so.
movie job, but his physique though.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
his
gosh.
physicality is outstanding, but I felt like he would have been better off as the silent, menacing type.
Yeah,
that doesn't need to say a whole lot just because his physical presence says it for him.
Right.
But yeah, there were a couple of times with him I'm like, probably a nitpick, but fight scenes with him and Jake and just the fight scenes in general
awesome.
were just incredible.
Oh yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking like if I was in a bar, right, which I don't do, but if I was, and I saw someone like him walked in, I would stop whatever I'm doing and just walk out. I'd be like, there's no way. I'm like, this guy's coming in to pick a fight.
Yeah.
And that's what he does.
Well, I feel like
he's a psycho.
I don't think there's that many bar fights in the Florida Keys.
No.
I mean, it's a pretty I've been in the Keys a few times. It's a pretty laid back environment. I don't know what these guys are all. I know there's no movie if they don't have it, but
yeah.
It's a little over the top sometimes. But
he was just a very. He was a cool pick for just like the physicality portion,
right?
But his personality definitely like trying to mesh with that, and the story overall, like as you said, having all this stuff take place over like a small bar, like like how realistic would that have been? Probably not.
I do have some ideas for Connor's character later on though to touch on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to that, I did want to say I did like the relationship between. Dalton and the nurse in both of those movies, the original and the new one. It definitely feels like a more of a real relationship.
Yeah,
I enjoy stuff like that.
I didn't see the connection as much in the new one as I did in the old one.
That's probably fair.
Nitpicking a little bit on that. I mean,
Yeah.
she was good, but I just didn't feel that. I mean, obviously in the original Roadhouse, there's definitely some connections made that they didn't have in the new one.
Yeah.
But I liked the Charlie, the girl at the bookstore.
Oh yeah,
I
she was
thought
fun.
She kind of helped keep him grounded and kind of brought in, like, it was talking about the book, like the double X was kind of a subtle reference to the double deuce, I think.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of a Western where he's coming up to clean up the town and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah, well, I did too, and I thought that her character was very sweet, and I definitely liked the way that he interacted with her and the others. And I think that was probably my favorite part of the movie was seeing Dalton interact with the people, like knowing he's a badass. But like, I think my actual favorite scene in the whole movie is when he is fighting the four guys kind of near the beginning, the henchmen, the minions,
Yeah.
and he breaks the nice guy's arm. He's like, is there a hospital? Like, how far away is it? He's like, why are you worried about it? It's like, this is about to happen. I just want to know.
Make sure they have health insurance before he just absolutely slaps the shit out of them.
Which he does.
He
bang,
does.
Bang,
That's
bang,
pretty
bang.
awesome.
It's so cool. So that was probably my favorite scene in the movie. But I think overall, like, they're two very different movies. But I think I like the new one a little bit better.
I think the new one has better potential for a franchise.
I think so too.
Than the old one. The old one, if they were going to do a sequel, they should have done it like in the late 90s. I think what happened was they did a sequel that was Dalton's son is in the FBI, and it just totally didn't work, and it was too late. It was after Patrick Swayze had passed away.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely potential for a franchise here with this new one.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you said you had some ideas on
Well, yeah,
Connor's
one thing I thought that was missing from the new one compared to the old one was the Wade Garrett character, the Sam Elliott. I wish we would have had that in here. So my idea for a sequel is that Dalton mentions that he's from Montana.
Okay.
So I've got, like, he's called back home.
Okay.
He's got a mentor there played by Cole Hauser from Yellowstone.
Okay. Yeah.
So they go to Montana. You know, he does this thing. He could have another love interest in, like, some hot Native American girl or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
You know what I mean? And then later on, I think what you could do is you could bring in Conor McGregor, is called in to like intervene again, and kind of a cameo.
Yeah.
Realizes it's Dalton, and he's like, I don't want to tangle with you again.
Yeah,
he kind of leaves, and
Nice.
there's like a sign of mutual respect, Yeah. So then in the third one, we go overseas.
Okay.
So now Conor McGregor's character needs help with a pub in Ireland, and that sees Dalton go overseas to Ireland.
Interesting.
And I think that would be really wild, and I think would be really cool.
I'd love to see all that being tied together, but that does sound pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do like stuff. Of course, like I'm part Irish, so like Irish stuff is always like super fascinating to me. So like, and we don't get a lot of movies like with that part of the world.
Yeah.
I don't think. So I think that's super cool.
Well, I just like this. I like the Keys. It's the Florida Keys setting. I thought it's cool. It's not
It is
used
cool.
very often. And then move it to Montana, which I know is kind of getting used more, but it's totally different. And then going overseas to Ireland to cap it off. I think it'd be awesome.
Just have a crossover between Yellowstone and.
There you go.
I'm okay with that. Yellowstone's a great show. If you haven't seen it, check that out.
Sure.
But is there any last remarks that you have about the movie as a whole before we go ahead and rate it?
Well
from the 10?
done, Jake. Glad he did it. He was definitely the most cut I've ever seen him
Oh my
ever.
gosh.
Oh my goodness. It's like, oh my.
It's like you can shred meat on those abs.
Yeah. But no, I was really excited. I think it's good for the streaming platform. I don't think people are going to go to theaters to watch that. I think they're much more likely to get eyes on it through Amazon than anything else. So.
Yeah.
But well done. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought some of the CGI was a little spotty in the new movie, but I liked the film overall. Love Jake Gyllenhaal and love his charisma as that character. And yeah, there were some elements that were missing, but I think overall it's a super enjoyable film. Conor McGregor is a little oddly placed, but he's got like this energy. He walks like in a very specific, like with his shoulders up. I mean, very intimidating guy. But on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm gonna give the new one a 7.5.
I'm going 7.5 too. I was going to say 7 to 8. So yeah, I think I'll settle there.
Look at that official score already
agreed
made.
already.
Let's go. All right. Well, Eric, it's great to talk to you. Thanks for coming on.
You too, Christian.
Thank you.
Yep.